What about you, Tiffany? What have you seen even on event day? Like, don't hold back. Like, what have
Uh,
you?
my red flag is when I have a bride who has hired me and tells me that they're hiring their friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Weddings. I have two awesome guests with me, industry leaders in the wedding industry. I have Candace Sharpe and Tiffany McCord. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a cyber clap, a hoo-yah, all that great stuff. And Candace is the owner and planner of Stars Hollow Events, and Tiffany is the owner and planner of the Black Door Collective. I just want to let y'all know a little something before we hopped on. I was talking to them, and I'm not going to say what she told me to say as far as introductions, but that was, let's just call her a boss. I won't say the rest of what she mentioned. But listen, these two have a wealth of knowledge in the wedding industry and the events industry, and I only thought it was right for me to get them on the show. And today we are going to be talking about the essential guide to hiring the right wedding vendors. I think this is a huge topic here, especially right around this time. We're gearing up for engagement season, and people are going to be starting to look for their wedding vendors and people that they want to work with. And I really thought that this topic was huge because right now I think when you look on social media and you look online, everybody has the pretty pictures, everybody has a nice website, and I think sometimes, I was talking to one of my couples a month ago, it's hard to kind of decipher who's really doing good work, like who's really the right fit for you, so you don't get, I guess I won't say bamboozled, but you don't fall into the whole, oh, pretty pictures, and months down the line you're like, wow, this person isn't who I thought they were. So I thought that this would be a fantastic topic for Candace and Tiffany to kind of hop on, and we can just kind of talk about it and just share and give couples just some insight. But before we start there, I want to start with Candace. Candace, tell us a little bit about your company and how you got started and all that great stuff.
Sure. My name's Candace Sharpe. I'm owner and planner of Stars Hall Events. I absolutely love planning events. Everything from the organization to the design to the logistics makes my heart go pitter patter. I love getting to know couples, and it's important to me to be in a relationship with them as far as the planning process goes. So it's definitely a teamwork process. I got started because I went to school in college for event planning and thought I would be on the corporate side, but fell in love with the love side.
Wow, awesome, awesome. Now, Tiffany, tell them a little bit about yourself, your company, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I worked in corporate America for a long time on the graphic design arts of it. And when I quit working because I started a little family, I really missed the outlet of the design part and fell into the right group of people where I got to use that outlet, and it just kept growing and growing to I became owner and planner of my own company where now I can kind of help couples create their dream wedding from the beginning to the end.
Awesome. And I've had the awesome opportunity to work with both of these ladies. Top notch. They know exactly what they're doing. And I just knew when I was thinking about this topic here that I need to have both of them on the show. So let's jump into the first question that I have. So, what is the difference between hiring for an event and hiring for a wedding? Is there a difference? I don't know who wants to answer first or kind of come at it. What are your thoughts there?
I would say there's a big difference in hiring for a wedding versus whether it's a corporate event or a baby shower or birthday party or any other kind of event. Weddings typically flow the same way every time. So
Mhm.
not that they're easy, but for event planner or wedding planner, it is typical. You know, we can tell you what happens in the morning, the afternoon, to what time people should start arriving, to everything else. Where at a corporate event or a birthday party, it's a lot different. There's not the routine of
Mhm.
what happens next.
Yeah,
I will say.
yeah. Any thoughts, Candace, on that?
I say hire with experience.
Yeah,
I definitely think that if you're throwing a bar mitzvah versus a
yeah.
wedding, you need to have a DJ who has experience in a bar mitzvah, you need to have a florist or an event planner that has a little bit of experience in that type of event,
Yeah.
just because they do flow so very differently than a wedding.
Right. I totally agree with y'all. And I think having or just knowing that the costs based on the event are going to be a little different as well. I think some people are taken back from when it comes to these weddings because I guess a couple was, not a couple, but a bride was talking to me and she was saying that I feel like when you mention the word wedding, everybody jacks their price up. And she didn't really understand the correlation of like how different a birthday party is to the wedding day. I mean, even the work that you do, that the both of you all do, you all, if you're doing full planning, you're rocking with it for like a year plus, isn't that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's different. The expectations of someone who's throwing a birthday party versus throwing a wedding.
Yeah.
It's that one day, that they'll never do again. And so your anxiety level as a planner or a DJ or a florist are so much higher because you want to make it beyond perfect versus a birthday party that they have every year
Yeah.
or a corporate event that they have often.
Yeah. I think you said something great there as far as the pressure to deliver that first time. Like there's no like, hey, let's do this let's do this next weekend. So wow. Well, speaking of such, my next question here is, why would someone consider hiring a professional? Someone that, knows what they're doing. And before, man, I'm trying to hold back some of these questions that I have when you're talking about specifically professionals. So Candace, if we can start with you on, why would you want to hire a professional?
Yeah, hiring a professional means that you're going to get quality service and products that are consistent from event to event, which I think is huge in our industry. These people who pop up in the vendor spots, because we do have such a fun and creative industry that we're in, they don't have the experience. They don't have the weather. They haven't worked through these things that happen on a wedding day, like grooms splitting their pants and random things that happen. They don't have the tools to deal with those things on the fly. Where if you have somebody who has that good experience and who is a professional, who's either taken the classes, put in the time and apprenticed under other vendors of their same category, then they're going to be able to deal with that so much better on the day of and not create a commotion, but create a fix to the problem.
Yeah. No, I definitely get it. And speaking, like you said a lot there, and that's good. But let's just say we just got engaged. You all, both of you know how Instagram can be. Everybody, like, what are some of the red flags to look for at the beginning? Because everybody, y'all know in our industry, everybody presents professionalism. You don't really see the full gammy until, you're on event day and you're like, whoa, what is that? Like, I don't know who want to take this answer first, but what are some red flags to look out for?
Definitely, if you're looking on social media and there's no link to a website, if they only have a social media account and they won't pay for a domain, they won't set up a website, that takes the level of professionalism down quite a bit for me.
Okay. What about you, Tiffany? What have you seen, even on event day? Like, don't hold back. Like, what have you?
My red flag is when I have a bride who has hired me and tells me that they're hiring their friend who is a photographer or a DJ or however it works, and you don't know how to tell somebody that's great, but are they a wedding photographer? Are they a wedding DJ? Or are they a wedding professional? Because there's such a big difference in a professional, I'm not going to say they're not, versus a wedding professional.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I'm sure we didn't mean to hurt your feelings there if you plan to get, your cousin saying
yeah,
but don't do it.
Don't
No.
Yeah, nobody,
like we said, it's one day, so much can go wrong.
Yeah. So if you were thinking about it, you don't have to tell anybody. Nobody knows. It's just you watching. But yeah, so much can go wrong, and then specifically with
So much.
family members, you just don't want that bad blood to continue on afterwards. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man. So tell, and I'm sure you all do. Between the both of y'all, I know you all have some stories of things that have happened that people may have lacked professionalism. We won't mention any names, but this is the reason why I do the show, because you end up going to these blogs, and some of the advice on there is like, okay, let's get some people that have really had experience with this right here. So
Yeah.
which one of y'all, I mean, you tell me your story of the unprofessionalism or things that didn't go right based upon a decision that was made in hiring.
You want me to go
Go for
first?
it, Candace. Yeah.
Okay. So one time I had this DJ. I could go on for days about stories. But one time I had a bride hire an up and coming country artist to DJ her wedding.
Oh wow.
Sounded all kinds of cool, right? To have this guy who everybody kind of knew his name. Everybody knew he was a great singer, he was a great guitar player. He came, his communication leading up to the wedding was minimal at best.
Oh wow.
And so I had to do a lot of the reaching out and making sure that he had everything he needed. Um, so that was a big red flag. Two, he didn't have a standard contract. That was another
Oh.
red flag. So he came, he played the ceremony and his acoustic guitar and his beautiful voice, and everything was great.
Okay.
But when we got to the reception, when he was supposed to be a DJ,
Oh.
that's when it was bad. He literally had a speaker and his phone hooked up to the speaker,
Oh.
and he played song after song, and he had no transitions, no fades. The internet connection at the space that we were at was minimal, to say the least, so it could not download songs. So he could not take requests, he could not download anything extra than he had on his list.
Wow.
Everything in between a music, in between the songs, was literally like a cut and then the next song. He had his Spotify list pulled up and he was playing the music off of there. So that can tell you that he also didn't have a mic to the MC
Oh.
through the evening. So it was
That's
very
bad.
choppy and awkward of me walking from place to place, making sure people were in the right spot. And it just created a very choppy kind of feel throughout the evening because you didn't have that smoothness of someone announcing what's happening next.
Wow. Wow.
Fun.
That.
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Tiffany, what's your story? What do you got?
Oh, I think I'll go to the photographer point of view again. Like I said, you spend tons of money, you've spent lots of time and effort designing the most perfect day. You have a tablescape that's beautiful, you have special details that you spent so much time on making sure they're perfect. And when you don't have that wedding photographer that knows that you spent time and effort in picking things out, and they don't take the time to take the detailed shots, and they don't care about the timeline that we took months creating for you, that to make sure that everything flows so nicely, that they just kind of do their own thing. And then 2 months go by, maybe 3 months go by, you still haven't gotten your photos yet. So you're getting frustrated, and I really can't say anything because I didn't hire them. They were your friend. That's tough. That's tough. They're frustrated. They haven't gotten pictures. They didn't get what they expected. The photographer missed many things, and then guess what? The photographer is your friend, and they started drinking when dinner happened, and the photos after that were just not what you thought it would be.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's one of those things, like, and I've been in the industry long enough that when people are like, oh, have a drink, I don't expect anyone else to be drinking on the job at any career. So any wedding professional that has been hired should not be drinking on the job as well, especially when they're doing a job.
Right. Right.
It's a sticky situation.
Yeah.
And those are 100% red flags.
Yeah.
That's why I always say, let your friends be your guest and not your wedding professional.
Totally get it. So where would, okay, the couple sitting there right now, they're probably like feeling bad or or excited that they're getting this information, or they're thinking about the future and like, nope, I'm not gonna make that mistake. So cool. I'm not gonna hire my cousin, brother, sister, anybody else, whatever. Where like what are some tips in finding like professionals? Like what are your tips?
Yeah. I think that referrals from the previous vendors you booked are going to be your best bet
Okay.
in doing that.
Mhm.
So you probably started with a venue or a space that you're getting married. So they should have a preferred vendor list, or at least some awesome vendors that they've worked with that they've had great experiences with. That should include like your catering, your photographer. That will give you a good start. And you'll kind of move through and definitely ask previous booked vendors about the vendors you're looking at. So if you have two photographers and you reach out to your venue and say, "Hey, I'm considering these two photographers. What do you think?" I think that's a great way to see kind of professionalism because they've seen them work on the day of.
Yeah, I'm definitely with
Mhm.
you there, Candace. Just getting because I've noticed that, and this year I'm not going to mention any names. There were, you know, event partners that we work with that have raving reviews, but still had some unprofessional tendencies taking
Mhm.
place. And I think like once again, it's easy to get caught up in the smoke and the mirrors, and this person left a glowing review and beautiful pictures, but you don't know that person may take forever to get you back the product, the video, or I'm trying to be very careful how I say this because this is real stuff that's happening. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
asking other wedding vendors or for advice, I think that's a great idea because you get real feedback on like, hey,
Oh
this
yeah.
person's great,
Yep.
and this person you should run from. I
And then
Yes.
literally had some issues. I didn't have an issue, but I had a couple call me about another vendor that hadn't delivered what they promised that they would deliver, and they paid a
A
lot of
hundred
money, and they were
percent.
yeah.
heartbroken. And this wasn't a family member at all. This is someone that
Yep.
had a very
Professional.
strong reputation, and
Yeah.
things went left.
No, I get it because I've been in that situation where the company started off great and what they executed or did day of, it really shocked me, and I was just stunned at how people can operate a business, especially a lucrative business in the area. So it is important to talk to other vendors if they have one or two vendors hired already, or they know people who've gotten married in the past. Like, hey, who did you use for your wedding? What was your experience with them? Because people's experiences are so much more important than what you see on Instagram or Facebook or the internet or the not or however you may put it. Because everyone puts their best pictures out there. Everybody puts their most valuable, expensive, luxurious weddings on their Instagram or their Facebook. They don't put the lower budget ones out there for people to see that, it's so much more than what you see. It's
Yes,
people's experiences,
that's correct.
their emotions, because it's an emotional day.
That's why I give kudos to the planners. I'm not kissing whatever. You all you all are rocking with the client for a long time. Can you imagine partnering with somebody that you didn't like, or
No.
like red
No.
flag, like your wedding? Okay, you booked the planner. Let's just say in March, right, for a wedding you're having next summer, and that planner starts to show red flags in April, like, and you've already paid it, like, to be with that planner for like the rest of the year, like, what in the world? Like,
Yeah.
that's brutal. Like, at
Yeah.
least for us as DJs, like, it's one night,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, it's an important one night or one day, and it's an important day because we can screw up the ceremony music and all that if we don't know what we're doing. But to be stuck with somebody for months, that you just wish you would have.
Sometimes years.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh
Over
yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
COVID.
That's, oh, gosh, man. I can only. But Candace, what were you saying? You were saying something.
I was just going to say that your wedding planner should have a wealth of knowledge about those vendors and if they're professional on the
Yeah.
back end, because on the wedding day, we try so hard to make sure that you only see everything good that happens.
You do.
So if a lens breaks from your photographer, if the electric goes, like you're not going to know about those things. You don't know that one of your vendors was unprofessional in the background, that they were rude to guests. Like, we see the behind the scenes as well as the delivery of the product, so we can give a better, more well-rounded kind of review of that vendor. If you ever have questions, I think that's always a good place.
Yeah. One thing I want to piggyback on you right there with Candace, with you all being planners. Sometimes it's not a question of professionalism, more of a question of fit. And I think that's the great thing about the both of you all is just when I hear from y'all, it's like, yeah, I have a client that's a right fit for you. Because you can have an awesome photographer, caterer, whatever, but they just don't fit your style. Like, they just don't fit,
Yeah.
who you are. And I think that's giving more kudos to planners, is being able to have access to professional vendors, but also be able to say, okay, this person would match great with that person. I guess matchmakers. Let me stop. That was corny,
We
but I'm
are.
gonna keep going. Yeah, nah. There it is.
Like
There.
it.
Yeah. So my last question is, all right. So when should couples start looking? What is, I guess some couples that say, we're a little ahead of the game, and it's really just a year. And then you got some that's a few months before. Like, what's a good time to start looking for, your vendors and all that great stuff?
So I definitely think there's a method to the madness in planning and booking your vendors. You want to book those vendors who are your hard hitters who can only do one in a day first. So vendors who can only do one a day, here's an example: photographer, videographer, hair and makeup, officiant. Those people are going to be people who only take one wedding for that specific date. So they're going to book up the quickest. And to get the style and price point and date availability, kind of all three of those for the perfect unicorn vendor, you want to start early. So those vendors who not only are, or who can only do one in a day, are going to be your biggest kind of wants to book first, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Makes total sense. Makes total sense.
If you have a specific DJ, there's only one Rusty's around.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
only one wedding at this venue, and you have a specific date. So two people can't get married there at the same
yeah,
time. So
yeah.
you gotta weigh out your options of, okay, well, I know I have to have this person.
Right,
So this is gonna be priority.
right. Let me, okay, and I'm gonna ask a question that's kind of off the cuff. Right now, the year is 2021. If you're watching this, so what are you, both of you all? And I'm gonna ask Tiffany to answer this first, and I'm gonna go to Candace. But and as it relates to hiring vendors and prepping and getting married and having a great wedding, what are you all seeing for 2022 and possibly 2023 when it comes to hiring? Because we just gave them advice for, like, in general, but we all know what's happening in the wedding industry this next year and the year after. What are you all seeing? What are your predictions as far as if a couple says, "Hey, what should I do?"
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
General rule, I tell my clients that we want to get all of your main vendors booked 2 seasons prior. So let's say
Okay.
they're fall of 2022, then we would have had their hard hitters, that I call them, your only can do one in a day vendors, by 2 seasons, which would be fall of 2021. So spring would be 1 season ahead, fall would be 2 seasons ahead, and then you want to do all of your details and more, have all of your complete vendor list booked by the spring of 2022, which is 1 season ahead. And then the 90 days usually in between there is going to be all of your tiny details. You can pick your napkin fold then. You can pick, the color of your runner then, things like that. But you want to have all your vendors actually booked and contracted by at least 1 season prior. All of the ones who can only do one in a day, 2 seasons prior.
Taking back off of what Candace said about like picking certain things, that's the other thing that we've seen in the industry this year that we've never had trouble in the past is when we're, normally rentals is always something that you kind of do at the end because it's
Yeah.
the little details. But those are the things that we're having to do sooner than later because staffing is not up to par. They don't have enough employees to go deliver to all these weddings. So trying to get what you want done as soon as possible because it has been kind of hard to get people motivated to do their job.
It's just the world we're living in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like that's happening in every industry, whether
Yeah.
it's a shortage of supply or a
Yeah.
shortage of labor. Wow, that so speed is definitely the name of the game in 2022.
It
Yeah.
is, but also don't rush through the process that you lose the fun of planning.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because
Yeah.
this is a season of life that you should be celebrating and that you deserve to have fun in that process. So if people are pressuring you so much that you're just making decisions that you're going to regret later, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, you better talk to him, Candace. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm you hear the passion come out.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you because people can get caught up in the pressure of hurry, hurry, hurry. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it, and miss out on the fun of what getting married is supposed to be about, and having
Yeah.
weddings and all that good stuff.
We have the relationships in the industry with each other that,
Yeah.
if you didn't have a planner and you went into the rental place, they're probably just going to listen to you and tell you it's out of stock. Whether, you have a planner who goes in there with you and who's like, hey, I'm here every week. I need this, this, and this. You get so many more perks when you hire in the professional industry.
Yeah.
That is facts. That is facts. And I'll give an example from a DJ company perspective. Sometimes, like if these two ever ask for a favor, or they want me to, you come in, you want a particular person, and because of Candace or Tiffany or whatever planner, I'll make the adjustment, or I'll hold the date for them. And I won't typically do that. Like I don't know the couple, so I can't say they can't tell me, "Hey, hold the date," and just hold it. Like you can't. We don't have that type of relationship, but your planner can, because I trust the relationship. So I'm comfortable with saying no here, or discounting this, or you know what, I don't mind bringing this because I work with Candace and Tiffany all the time, so I'll throw in some extra uplights or blah 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 blah, whatever. So the relationship and the perks, you're really telling the truth. And I've seen that in action with other planners, like no to the public, but you know what, we had this in the bag, I got you, type of stuff happening. Starting with Candace, tell them where they can find you if they have any questions, if they want to reach out to you, and then Tiffany, you do the same after Candace.
Awesome. You can find me across social media at Stars Hollow Events, on my website at www.starshollowevents, or you can email me at Candace@starshollowevents. But all of that is found very easily in the social media profiles.
There it is. Tiffany.
I am the same with Candace. You can find me on social media at the Black Door Collectives, or you can check out my website, theblackdoorcollective.com, or send me a personal email at info@theblackdoorcollective. All my information's out there.
She's out here. That's all. She's out here. But but y'all, I appreciate you hopping on the show with me. For everyone that's watching, thank you for joining us. I hope we provided some value to you. Have a great day.